Welcome to the Real Estate Show with Pat Lopez, where we talk everything real estate. Well, this is the time of the year where everybody comes out with their predictions, and I'm going to come out with my predictions. And what I'm going to do is 6 months in, and then next December, I'm going to look to see how accurate I was with these predictions. So the areas I'm going to cover is number one, how many houses are going to be sold in 2024 versus 2023. Also going to be looking at, will there be a correction in the market, or will there be appreciation in real estate? And last, we'll look at interest rates. So let's jump into units sold, how many houses are going to sell in 2024. Well, let's look back at 2023. 2023, we had anywhere between, depending on what sources you look at, 3.8 to 4 million houses selling. Now, that is levels back to 2008 and 2009, which pretty much seems to be the floor. So we know we really can't get, too much worse than that 4 million. But I think in 2024, we are going to have about a 10% higher in sales. So somewhere around, I would say 4.5 million, maybe 4.3, 4.5 million houses sell. And the reason why is the pent-up demand. People have been on the sidelines, waiting to get into the market. And things happen. Life happens. So people get married. People have kids. People get into the divorce. They have to sell houses. Life happens. Also, people are now used to the higher interest rates. Back in 2022, we went from 3% interest rates up to 7+ interest rates. And that was a shock. And people just said, whoa, I'm on the sidelines. This is crazy. Well, guess what? Now we've had a year of interest rates in the high 6s to even the low 8s. And people are used to these higher rates. So I think the fact that people are used to the higher rates, life happens, people can only put on hold things for so long. And we're talking about a year and a half to almost 2 years, people putting buying and selling on a hold. I really think that's going to spur the market where we will see more people jumping in, buying and selling. Now, affordability and pricing, appreciation, crash, what's going on with the housing prices? Well, I do not see the market dropping. I think it'll be flat, or maybe we'll have a historical 3 to 4% appreciation. And the reason why I say that is for a couple of reasons. One, law of supply and demand, and what I just mentioned before. There's pent-up demand. There's buyers that are just dying to jump into the market. So with more buyers than sellers, it's impossible for prices to drop. Once again, law of supply and demand. If I have 5 buyers, I have 3 buyers for every house, the prices can't drop. The other item is just the overall appreciation. People have 30, 40% equity in their homes. They may have bought a house for $200,000. Now the house is worth $300,000 today. So they're not in a hurry to sell. They don't have to sell. There's not a hardship. It's actually cheaper to stay in your home than to, potentially rent a new home today with the higher rent prices. So I really think that the housing market will be flat to a small appreciation. And the reason why I don't think it will go too high is the affordability. And that is a real issue. There's only X amount of dollars people have to buy a house. And, to afford that $300,000 to $350,000 house, you have to make decent money with the higher interest rates. So there's just no way getting around it. And people are up against it. So if the housing prices go too high, then who's going to buy it? Average Joe is just not going to be able to do it. So I don't think the prices, even though there's a strong demand, I don't think they're going to get out of hand. Once again, we'll be somewhere maybe flat to 3 or 4% appreciation. And once again, that's going to depend on, where you're at, where you're buying, where you're looking, because every market is a little bit different. Now, interest rates. We had some great news in December. The Fed talked about cutting rates. Well, their stance before was higher for longer. Now they're talking about cutting interest rates. And the market responded really well. We were up in the 8s, the low 8s, and the market corrected itself and came back down to being in the high 6s to 7%. So That is some really great news. We're not higher for longer anymore. Now everybody's anticipating, rate cuts. And coming with those rate cuts is the end of quantitative tightening. So what the Fed was doing is they were letting their mortgage-backed securities and treasuries roll off of their balance sheet. So then what happened there is the market had to absorb it. We're talking about foreign countries, pension funds, hedge funds. They had to absorb that excess mortgage-backed securities and treasury bills that were hitting the market at about $1 trillion. So once they go to rate cutting, most likely they're going to stop that quantitative tightening and then go to a neutral. So if there's less supply in the market, then rates can also settle down. And of course, the $1 million question is, will government ever stop spending money? They're like drunken sailors, the way they spend money. Right now, what we have is the government spending like drunken sailors and the Fed tightening, and it's, they're battling each other here. So hopefully government will rein in a little bit of their spending as well to allow the mortgage-backed securities, the mortgage bonds to continue going lower. So where do I think interest rates are going to end up being? Well, I think interest rates probably will hover anywhere between 6.25, 6.5 to maybe 7.25 if some crazy stuff happens, bad news hits. I don't think we're going to hit the 8s anymore. I think they're gone. I really think that in maybe 2025 is when we'll be able to see maybe something with a 5 in front of it. But I think 2024, we're going to see rates stabilize a little bit, where they'll be in the 6 range, mid-6 ranges, maybe, pushing, 7%, depending on what's going on in the market. So there are my thoughts, my predictions on number of units sold, nationwide. Is the market going to crash? Is there going to correction? What kind of appreciation we're going to have, and where interest rates are? Please chime in. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think? You think I'm crazy? You think I'm dead on? But so absolutely leave a comment. Be sure to follow the show on Facebook and Instagram and subscribe below. I have some really great guests lined up for 2024. You don't want to miss any of that. And once again, leave that comment. Super important. I hope you enjoyed the Real Estate Show with Pat Lopez, and we'll see you next year.